Hello virtual pilots, we are just a few days away from the awaited world update for Microsoft Flight Simulator that will include the United Kingdom and Ireland. A massive update containing new aerials, new water maps, over 70 points of interest, 5 airports, 2 landing challenges, and will also introduce 5 brand new photogrammetry cities: London, Birmingham, Oxford, Cambridge and Bristol. As stated by the developers, these new cities caused a delay of 1 week for the add-on, but the wait is almost over and very soon we will get our hands on it. Here are a few shots which you most likely seen already. And moving on, last week we got the first Q&A of the year with our well-known hosts Jörg, Sebastian and Martial. And here is a resume of the most important questions that were answered in the show. So let's start with the first topic in the show, a simulation of thermals. As we've seen in the latest Aerodynamics themed feature discovery video published not too long ago, Sebastian mentioned that the system for simulating thermals is already out there, simulated over different terrain at different temperature, and it will be improved over time. What we saw in the video as the blue particles that blow throughout the world, these are thrown particles that go throughout the same simulation that the airplane surfaces do as they pass above different terrain. We are experiencing updrafts in the sim, for example more intense on flat terrain under cumulus clouds. Also, they are very dependent on temperature. They tend to build up over 20 degrees, so depending on where you are and on the weather settings, you will get more if the temperature above the ground is high, or less if the temperatures are low, for example -10, or if you're flying above the water. Now what is not yet simulated is the type of surface you are flying above, like a dark building rooftop that will create more thermals than a brighter one, so this can still be improved. The second topic was on flight model updates. A question popped up when to expect them. The answer is that they are happening every update, looking to improve the simulation, to fix bugs, to help third-party developers with their models, and so on. Then the discussion moved over to wheel friction. In short, due to the fact that now we have slopes and the gravity is always there, the airplane will slide away, so they implemented static friction in order to be able to park on a slope. They also improved on the wind, but the system is not perfect yet, and they had to disable horizontal wind when we are below 1 knot, more precise at extreme low speeds, so the airplane doesn't turn or slide away, but as soon as we are starting taxiing, the wind is back at 100%. They will improve on this in the future, as mentioned. That is not impossible, but just requires more time and work to the systems. Moving on, about the adverse yaw effect, the system is present and working in the sim, as they found, with the help of the community, a new way of measuring the rudder effect on a timeline. They implemented a tool to visualize it in the sim, and they have a program working with real pilots to record this on actual planes. The first one is the 172, and they will move on plane by plane. Then, about the turboprop drag, they are improving the whole turbine and turboprop systems, and it is expected on one of the upcoming updates when it's finished. The P-factor and slipstream, they are already present, but they are at the moment on the weak side, have already been tuned once on many airplanes since release, and they will continue with further updates. Wake turbulence is not yet in the sim. This is not far away, somewhere just after turboprop, so should be in the next month. The ground effect has already been improved earlier as a request of one of the third party, and now they are having another improvement inbound in the next update. So about the UK World Update, they were thinking to release it without London, but decided that it would be unforgivable to do that, so we had to wait for this one. And as a small reward for our patience, they shown us a sneak peek of the trailer. Now by looking at it, one question pops to mind. What to do with the Orbex London City Pack? We keep it on, or we cut it loose as we are getting a new and improved London out of the box? We will have to see and compare which is best, and of course, it will be a subjective matter for everyone. But yeah, interesting. Last year they said they were waiting for new data for Ireland, and yes, they got it. So overall, the world update is coming, days away, not weeks. And after this, the next world update was announced to be France, Belgium, the Netherlands and Luxembourg. So next up is the Sim Update 3, slated towards the end of this month. They've been working a lot of the Garmin system for the G1000 and G3000 with a bunch of new options for them, a lot of navigation options and a setup for the luminosity, so we will be able to dim the systems now. With updates for the weather systems, also more tweaks for the center of gravity and engines, so now we can change our setups for each flight with more in-depth, and also we will be able to set up the surface authority for the behavior of our aircraft. We will be getting some improvements with the visual effects to bring the contrails and landing effects hopefully in the next sim update, if not the fourth one. Sticking with the fourth sim updates, they will improve the icing effect. It's a common complaint now, the visual effect being too strong, so they will introduce something close to an on and off switch for it, but more precise, a system to be able to tweak the icing. They have a formula that was given by a weather specialist to exactly guess what are the icing conditions from no icing to severe conditions. So they got this table for it, but maybe the translation from this to the visual effect, it is a bit too strong, so they are working on it. Next up, York talks about the FlyByWire community mod, mentioning that it's going really good, and yes it does. There are at least 10 groups that are enhancing the base sim, and they know there are many people making freeware, so freeware is now in the plans, but they don't have yet a timeline for it. Coming back to the FlyByWire mod, they are prototyping a free section in the store. The hope is to have the plane there in the marketplace, and also there are talks with Salty with their 747 mod and other community enhanced planes to have a place in the market at some point. Next up is a hot topic question about the replay functionality. They have a team working on it for quite a while, and a stutter problem was just solved a few weeks ago, which helped the internal video team make the videos for the UK update. And with that being done, they are focused on delivering something simple at first, like record and play, and stutter-free of course, but they still don't have a release date yet. For multiple screens, we got the same confusing answer from Martial like last year. The engineers are working on something else, and it's in the pipe. Okay, nothing more to say on this. About the scenery gateway system, they started working on a prototype to allow the community to improve the airports. Again, we touched on this last time we covered the Q&A on the channel. And next up is DirectX12. Well, DirectX12 is linked to their work on the Xbox version of the sim. Optimization is an important part of their work with DirectX12, and their goal is not to degrade anything and to just rework all the systems they have to be more optimal in terms of performance, and this will all fit back into the PC version, being one common source codebase. There has been a lot of progress made in the last 6 months on memory and performance. Some of it has been released, but it was just a small part, and there's a lot more to come. On one side, this means that the lower end PCs will get a better experience, and on the other side, they can add up more details. All of this on DirectX12. And check this out. Ray tracing, impacting reflections, a better lighting, and shadows with less grain. So we can say that ray tracing is confirmed in the future, as well as being backwards compatible for the users that are not using it. Then when a DLSS question popped up in the chat, the only remarks from Sebastian were maybe. This is one of those times when you give a finger and the community tries to take your whole hand. Now a very important note about the weather from Jörg Newman. The weather is a core functionality of the sim. It is super important to the sim and they cannot shard the functionality. They need to get it right in the base sim. That's the commitment. That doesn't mean you can't use third-party tools, but they don't think it's a right solution. And I agree as well here. Subjective opinion, wink wink. So they are paying a lot of attention on what people want. Now some notes on the mountain terrain. They got some new techniques from Bing Maps that will increase the appearance of the mountains alongside the high resolution data. They know also that the mountains don't look as they should at this moment, mentioning the Dolomites in Italy, Central Europe, the Pyrenees also. They know that and they want it to look awesome, so they won't stop until they reach that point. Moving on VR, and something special to share, a separate snapshot dedicated to VR to show that they heard us, things will be improved, and first and most important is performance, then controls, a brightness slider, and they will continue to make VR better, asking to please vote and reach out with your feedback about your experience with it. Then Jörg talked about accessibility, with how they want to ensure that the simulator is accessible to everyone, with a statement "no pilot left behind" that translates to everybody who wants to fly can. They implemented from the start all kinds of things, helpers in the sim like color changes and font sizes, assists, quick menu toolbars, visual guides, but they want to pay more attention, so they are going to add another feedback snapshot that is dedicated to accessibility. Overgrown trees question popped up from the chat. Martial took on this one and said that they are going to work on that. They noticed that trees are overgrown, too big and too dense in some areas where they shouldn't. And Sebastian intervened and said that this is actually going to be related with optimization with an improvement to the tree system. About AI traffic, they are currently updating the system on how the AI planes are getting injected into the sim and will come in the next sim update. Work is being done getting the right planes and the right liveries at each airport, and with the French update we will get a taste of that. Stated that the models will be as close to the real models. They call them passive planes, not flyable but exactly the right models. The liveries are a bit problematic for them. Obvious reasons, the airlines are busy and preoccupied at this moment. As stated in the previous show, they want to have every right model with the right paint job. Airplanes and helicopters was mentioned by Jörg Newman, and it's going to take time, and until that happens, we await a French update to see the first baby steps of this feature being implemented. Moving on, they will talk more in depth about the SDK tool next time, holding on for the moment until the end of February. Another mention was about the SIM update tree being delayed as well due to the current world update with the UK and Ireland being pushed a week, so it seems that's the case. Also a good answer for the users pointing that in every video trailer they see there are things we don't have access to. We did discuss this the previous Q&A, that the videos are containing different branches that the developers are working on that include new stuff we of course don't have access at the time. Everything to be added in the future updates. So with the UK update, everything you ever seen in the video trailers will be added. So thumbs up for that. And another good news that comes with the UK update, the terrain spikes issues has been found and fixed. Also the bug impacting heading has been fixed and will come with the sim update tree. And that's it. Hopefully, very soon we will get our hands on the UK update, maybe even tomorrow. And in the moment we get our hands on it, we will deliver as always a fast on-the-spot news here at Hip Games. Until next time, hit the like button as it helps the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe for more news and updates on your favorite simulators and games. Remember to fly safe, and I'll see you next time.